Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Good morning, Vlogsters. My sister's made me coffee before she left. I'm not going to cry. She told me I'm not allowed to cry, so I did not cry this morning and be very proud of me, Vlogsters. And I didn't even have my sister Alicia in my head going, hold it. That's good. So, speaking of crying, she said she left me a note on the refrigerator. So, I thought I would bring it in here and share it with you. I said, oh, is it like to remind me to do stuff? She's like, no, it's a love letter. Jeri-Ann, my little sister. Remember that you are loved. You need to feed your soul, faith, your mind, peace, and your body. Lots of healthy goodies. Take care. Drink your water. Keep your chin up. Peace and love, Julie, your big sister. And she squeezed that in there. Well, I'm just going to keep this forever. Because, you know, I keep things forever. She has really set me up for success. And I should just be back in a few days. So I'm getting to cry now, so it's alright. She won't see this till tomorrow, so. Sorry, today's video was late. I forgot. I'm so busy getting ready for all the things that I never posted it. We had a doctor and we ran around to get all the things we needed for Jim's birthday and celebrating Jim's birthday. And I have an itch on my shoulder. I hope it's okay that I scratch it with my back scratcher for everybody. Excuse me. Just did I do my hair here, so it's pretty for you guys. And it's possible I just dropped a hair back there. It is also possible that my body is just reacting to all of the chemotherapy. So I don't know if you watched in yesterday's video that I took care of myself in the morning so that she would feel confident I could do it. But this morning she did make me coffee. I got myself an apple. Oh, I know what it was. Okay. I got myself an apple and I had apple and peanut butter, which I don't really remember if I shared yesterday. But I don't know. This looks weird. This looks so weird. I just haven't felt like hungry in the morning. Actually, I've kind of been not nauseated, but like, and I know I have to feed my body, which is why she said what she said. But honestly, an apple with peanut butter has been like what's been okay. It's been appetizing. It's been tasty. It's not had bad mouth effect. It's not had textural issues. It's sweet and salty and crunchy and chewy. So it works really well for me. So find something that works for you if you're doing any of the similar stuff. Excuse me, I do have to blow my nose. I apologize. When you cry, you often have to blow your nose. I dropped my hand sanitizer on the floor this morning. Poop-a-doop. Where though? I can't remember where. Oh well, I guess that's not important. Port update. I came back from the doctor yesterday. Doctor looked at it. She said she took pictures. She took pictures of the little like rash. I have a rash in the small of my back, which I don't believe I shared with everybody. You know, for years and years and years, it was always an itchy spot right in the small of my back. I don't know that you've ever noticed. I don't think I've ever worn a two-piece or shared underwear on, like, modeling underwear or whatever. But I have, like, right above my butt cheeks is kind of fat, and it goes in, the small of my back goes in a little bit more than skinny people's, is all I could, nice way to put it. So right in the small of my back, I always was itchy. I always had an itchy spot. I was like, oh, that's the spot. I don't know why. But now it's sort of like a bumpy rash. We don't know. Like, I showed the oncologist, and then I showed the nurse practitioner for the oncologist, and yesterday I showed my primary, and her first thought was it looked like shingles, and I was like, of course, because I didn't get my shingles vaccine that I was supposed to last year because of the pandemic or whatever. Excuse me. And but I don't have any of the other symptoms, and I've had it way too long for it not to have healed itself if it was shingles. So she took a picture of it. She's gonna, see. She told me to just put Benadryl cream on it to help with the itching. Benadryl cream has the Benadryl cream I have has calamine lotion in it, so I think it does. The one we have, the cooling, it might have aloe vera in it, but either one of those will help with the itching, so I'll do that. She wasn't concerned about my blood sugar and my blood pressure. I don't know if I talked about it yesterday about the eye doctor, but that was my big concern yesterday, was like, do we need to change my meds? She said, listen, I don't want that to be the focus right now. Let's heal you here. Let's do this here. And she also wants me to do, cut back on the keto. Add some more whole grain carbs. Of course, I'm doing like the no gluten because I really feel like cockadoodies when I eat gluten. But there's other really good whole grains out there. I can have my brown rice pasta more often. So when I mentioned it to my friend who's a doctor who has a special interest in diabetes and diets, type 1 and type 2, the suggestion was, since the doctor just blankly said cut back on the keto, her suggestion was to, like, don't cut it out entirely, so to ease into it, and then maybe just have, like, I think the suggestion or the solution I came up with was, right now I have Sunday is carb day, or Saturday was carb day, but Sunday is carb day, to have like 2 or 3 carb days during the week. So do like keto on the other days and do more carb days during the week. So she said that might help with my blood sugar. She said right now my A1C is great, but my daily numbers are like for shite, and I feel like I'm having a low, like a real hard low. The other day I had, like, at the doctor's office, I had like a cold sweat, and I had like and I was pale, all of the things that you hear of when you know the symptoms of hypoglycemia. And the nurse took my blood sugar, and it was 147. So it's very, very strange. My body is very, very strange. It doesn't really know how to act. Obviously, it's got cancer. It doesn't know how to act. But she took a picture of my port because she wanted to monitor how it's healing. We talked about my leg. We talked about my cancer, because I don't know if you guys remember, but the last time, this was my 3-month follow-up. The last time I was at the doctor was July 21st, when I first had a knee pain. And I went to her for knee pain. So yesterday we ended up talking about just about everything. We talked about the chemotherapy and the immunotherapy, and we talked about the antidepressants and the pain medication and the pain regimen and how is everything. And I did leave the office afterwards. I told my sister, I said, oh, I forgot to talk to her about how much I love the gabapentin. Like, I love it. But you know what? Maybe that's what's happening to the small of my back. But honestly, if I have to have an itchy rash in the middle of my back, if it was, obviously, or anaphylaxis could always come anytime, but you know what I'm saying. Like, just be careful. It's a small price to pay is what I meant. Because the pain, yeah. I might have some type of autoimmune, that sometimes when you have autoimmune, your skin attacks. But, I mean, nothing that anybody's ever found. But they don't always do, like, that kind of in-depth searches on blood work and stuff, so. Yeah. Oh. I'm tired today. Again, I couldn't sleep last night. You know, I wake up because I have to go to the bathroom, or if I'm in pain, one of those other things. And truly, and I don't want to say anxiety, like, we've talked about this. Anxiety isn't always bad. When you're excited about something, like you're anxious for something to happen, it doesn't always manifest itself in something negative. Sometimes it manifests itself in positivity. So like when you're excited about something and you're anxious for it to happen. I actually talked about it on my Instagram stories. Peter Fry from the Fry Life has his own channel because he's a pastor. And he shared a bit of his sermon about waiting on God. And, you know, I've talked about this before. God, in his time, obviously, always. But when you sometimes get a message that is sent with a sledgehammer, I don't know how else to say it, but sometimes you get a message and it's a whisper on the wind, and sometimes you get a message and it's sent with a sledgehammer. And you just get the right message at the right time. So I mentioned in my Instagram stories, and I'm sorry if you follow me on Instagram and you've heard this already, or you follow me on my Facebook business page and you heard it already. I just want to share it with everybody else who doesn't. He was talking about waiting on God. While we wait on God, we can work on the depths of our relationship as in our walk with God. So basically, while we wait for him to give us whatever it is we're waiting for, we can work on the strength of our relationship with him. I feel like it's kind of the same thing with our earthly relationships. Like, you know, when you're waiting on a cancer diagnosis and you're with your spouse and you're talking about all of what positive scenarios it could be and negative scenarios, and being contingency plans you put in forth, and you end up bonding with each other in the way that you just probably haven't since you dated. It's so reflected in that sermon that he gave, or that part of that, the part of that sermon that he gave was that while we wait, our relationship gets strengthened. And it's kind of an amazing thing. You know, this time, you know, if say you're pregnant and you're waiting for your baby to be born, that time, those last couple of weeks and months you have just with you and your husband, when it's your first child, it's just like, that's the last time that it's going to be just you two. And you can have that really intimate connection. And then that's that same sort of thing. You can really get into each other's soul if you allow yourself to, if you work at it. And, you know, it was just what I needed to hear at the time. Then a couple of hours later, or an hour or so later, we had gone to the Dollar Tree to get Jim some balloons and a card. My sister picked out a card and a balloon. I couldn't go in. And I was sitting in the front seat, and a lady walked out with like mini Christmas trees. And I wept. It was the most unusual feeling. It wasn't jealous that she had trees and I didn't. I wasn't sad that I didn't have trees. I wasn't, what's the word? I don't want to say depressed, even like, when you have no hope. I wasn't in despair that I was never going to have trees again. And I wasn't hopeless that I would ever shop at the Dollar Tree again. it was just a small glimpse into a moment of like, my life is very different right now. So nobody ever expects to get sick or have a diagnosis, but I don't know really how, I don't really know that anybody knows until it happens to them how it could really change your life. And I don't just mean like my plans for the future have changed. My future is accelerated. My plans have to be accelerated. It's my everyday. It's my everyday. I am immunocompromised and the world is not being safe. And whether or not you believe that masks work or the vaccine works or whatever your beliefs are, I know that I cannot go out into public because people have these beliefs. And, you know, it's funny because the same group of people who tend to be non-mask believers are the same who generalize fundamentalists like Muslims and fundamentalist I want to say other groups and I don't want to, but I think you understand what I mean. But them themselves have, that's what they've become. They're like fundamentalists, and they're just following the marching orders of their leader blindly, and it's affecting those of us else. I was suggested to get a third COVID shot. So the doctor said, I said, oh, the booster. And she said, no, for cancer patients, they're actually, people who have active cancer, they're actually giving a third COVID shot. And then 6 months you get a booster because the COVID vaccine is apparently a little different than the booster. So I had to check with my oncologist and he said, no problem. So I have to message my doctor's office back today and say, yes, I can go do it. I don't know that Walmart will let me. I have to call Walmart and say, because that's where I got my first two. So I don't know if I'm even supposed to go into Walmart. That's the thing. So now I'm like, I mean, the only thing about Walmart is literally there's the door and then there's the clinic and then you go back out the door. I don't think I would run into any more public people in Walmart than I would going to the hospital or the clinic, I should say, because, you know, there's few and far between that area. So I will find that out. I talked to the financial services lady yesterday at Mercy, and I have to do a whole bunch of online applications for things, which is very difficult because my eyes hurt a lot these days. And I think that the stress of the whole situation, the stress of finances, the stress of the future, on top of every other blessed thing we're worrying about, it just is making my eyesight much, much worse. When I went for the eye exam, you know, I had the same eye exam last year. When I went for the actual eye exam, my left eye couldn't make out any letters. Like even looking at the time on the TV. I mean, I know what time it is, so my brain is filling in the blanks, but I can't see what they are. It looks like white shapes or blurs, like parts of shapes. So, yeah. So it's hard. I have to do all this online. There are numbers to call, but I really am I am the worst on the phone. And I know it's because I'm a crier. Honest to gosh, every time I go to tell my story to somebody, I end up having to cry unless the person's in front of me. It's bizarre. It's bizarre. And it's not every time, obviously, but it happens often enough that I don't want to talk on the phone. So there is that. I don't want every conversation that we have to be about cancer and cancer diagnosis. The thing is that this currently is my life. And this vlog has always been about my life and my life with limitations and my life in the Midwest and dealing with the medical system here and dealing with this life of cancer. You know, obviously life evolves. So I'm sorry if you came here for continuous positivity or to be uplifted. Or at this point to even be heard, because so far behind in comments, my eyes hurt so bad. I have to come up with another solution. I put accessibility on my phone so my phone can, I've said this already, I'm sorry. My phone can read me certain things. It cannot read me any comments from YouTube. So it's very, very difficult. I did not want this to be like this. I really didn't. Let's lift it up. Let's lift it up right now, okay? This morning, I walked my sister out. I was one leg and four wheels, but I walked my sister out. And then after, I went to go make myself an apple. So I got the apple. She bought these cloths called Norwex. I don't know exactly how you spell it or where they're from, but I think she said HSN and QVC, but they're kind of like, if you watch a lot of YouTubers that do what I do, they're kind of like e-cloths where you don't need cleaner, you just use water. But these ones are for food. I never saw them e-cloths for food before. So this is, they're also for people. Like, okay, so she gave me one that's just for my body. So if I am ever feeling really incapacitated, I can take the Norwex and water, and I can actually sit here and give myself a semi-sponge bath. Because it's got antibacterial properties. So I was cleaning my apple. So the Norwex takes the wax off the apple. So you just wet it and you buff it out. And you know what I noticed when the wax was off the apple? It was so much easier to chew. It was bizarre, you know, like they wax them so they're pretty, but they actually end up making them crisper. And I don't like super crispy apples because I have gum issues and teeth issues, you know. But anyway, so I was cleaning my apple and I went to go look for my little covered paring knife. I have, the Dollar Tree sold like little paring knives that were in sheaths. And they're sharp, but they're not super sharp, like where they're paring knives. So if you ever use a paring knife, sometimes you can butt it up against your thumb if you're careful, if you know how to do it. So I was like, oh, if I had the covered paring knife, I could bring it in the room and I can use it to cut an apple every day. My version of a pocket knife. You know, my dad used to have a pocket knife and he would pull that thing out for everything. So I went to go look for it and I noticed that my drawers, like my gadget drawer, and I say mine, but our gadget drawers, not mine in the first person, but my family's gadget drawers. I'm not blaming anybody, obviously. It's been months since I've been able to work in the kitchen. But my sister kept saying to me, she's like, I can't find this and you have so much junk. And I was like, how do I? And even Jimmy was like, why do you have so much crap? And I was like, well, honestly, Jim, like, I have my gadgets and Mom has her gadgets and they're different and we both need them for different reasons. So it's like, you know, I use cooking type gadgets. Mom uses like baking type gadgets, and I use gadgets for sealing things in their original packages, and Mom uses gadgets for putting things in new kinds of packages. So it's like we both have our own, you know, thing. So I'm not gonna just like, you know, my gadgets rule and hers stink, or I'm gonna have to throw mine out either. So that's why we have all the storage that we have, you know, because we have 2 kitchens that we melded, and I think we did it. I think we do it very well. However, I went to go look for this sheath, and I was like, what? I ended up cleaning out 5 drawers. And not like pull everything out and put everything back in. What I do is I start on the end. I organize what's in there that belongs in there, and I take everything out that doesn't. Like if it's got put in the wrong drawer. I wish I could have had my phone. I would have filmed it for you because I think it's a good tip. So I go from drawer to drawer, and then I go to the next drawer and I do the same thing. I pull out everything that doesn't belong in there, put it on top. If anything that came out of drawer number 1 belongs in drawer number 2, then I go ahead and put it away. Otherwise, I just organize what's in drawer number 2, and then I work on to drawer number 3, and I repeat. There was a handful of things, 3 or 4, I should say, take that back, not even a handful, 3 or 4 things that didn't belong in any of the drawers that I was in, that I left on the black kitchen island for someone to put away where they belonged, or I can put them away later where they belonged. I just was tired at that point, so I had grabbed my apple, I grabbed my note from my sister, and I wheeled myself back in here to talk to you guys. Eat my apple while I was uploading yesterday's video because I forgot. That's why it was late. And then I ate my apple and peanut butter, and that's where we're at now. So my daily care skills will be I don't know what to say, like, hopefully I'll be able to do the same amount, at least the minimum amount of stuff to care for myself. You know, it's really funny that I think when you get older and you start to become more tired, like, let's rewind back 2.5 years or 3 years at this point. It's probably 3 years at this point. It was kind of after Luna was born. I came home and I felt like $1 million after Luna was born. I was walking her in the park all the time, and really we were just having like a great time. And 2018 started to get like, I started to get slower and slower. You know, it was just, 2019, I started to get slower and slower, and I was like, oh, I'm 49. I have to get to that birthday. You know, my mom died when she was 49. So I just had to pass that goal, you know. And then, I just, you know, I got more and more tired. I was in more and more pain. I was working on different diet solutions. My blood sugar just was like erratic, and I was like trying all these different, like, I couldn't exercise for very long, so I was doing the chair yoga. I was just doing everything that I could for my body. And I know I get a lot of slack. You guys don't see it because I vlog. I did a couple of day in the lives, or I did cleaning tips and tricks, but for the most part, I vlog. For the most part, my channel is sitting down. It's sitting down and talking to you, and the main channel is like sitting down and teaching you cooking, sitting down and teaching you crafts, sitting down and showing you what I got at the grocery store or the shopping haul, because I don't really do shop with me's anymore because of store policies. I wish they would have never told me that. I know so many people do that, and I just am scared now, so it's the way it is. However, I do sneak my camera in there. I sneak my phone in there sometimes. But anyway, but you guys don't really get to see me move. So it's like, that's the part, you know, that's the part that's lost in the translation. You see big size, you see plus size, you see that I'm tired all the time and I'm in pain, and you just say like, well, then get up and do something. Just because you're only privy to 15 minutes a day or such. Anyway, reel it in, Jer. What was happening to me, I didn't realize at the time, but was actually making me like more and more depressed every day. I was just like, of course you have to get used to it. And I was trying to give myself grace. I was giving my body grace. I was giving my mind grace. It's like, let's do what we can do. Let's do what we think we can't do. Let's push ourselves every day. I mentioned this before. It used to be like I worked for 2 days really hard and then I needed a day to recover. Then it was I worked for 1 day and I need a day to recover. Then it was I worked for 1 day and I need 2 days to recover. That was the progression of my exhaustion. That was the progression of what I now know is my cancer. But at the time, I was just like, oh, I'm getting old so fast. How did this happen? I should have taken better care of myself when I was younger. Jeri, how could you have taken care of yourself any better when you were younger? You were just used the tools that you were supplied at the time. You know, you didn't have any other skills. You know, like this is how I had conversations with myself. When I realized that I was suffering all of these things because of cancer, the energy level that my body was producing didn't change. However, the energy level that my mind was producing did. So I do feel a lot like, oh, I'm going to go spend all the energy that I have. You know, I'm going to spend the energy I have because I don't know if tomorrow I might get laid up, period. Like, tomorrow might be the day that the chemotherapy kicks my butt and I have to rest. So it's a very different situation. It's a very different scenario. But I'm just telling you all of this to give you a sense of self. Like, if you're going through something, it could look very different than anybody else's something. It will look very different than everybody else's something. If you had an identical twin that you guys were walking hand in hand through life in every step, then it would be a different story, but we don't. None of us do. To go through life in the best way you know how, just to be authentic and honest with yourself. That's all you have to be. When you're honest with yourself, you're honest with God, because I don't want to say God's in your head because he's all around us, but he's in your head. I don't mean like he's a figment of your imagination, but he's in your head, he's in your heart, he's all around you and in you. And if you're lying to yourself, you're lying to him because he hears what's going on in your head. So you don't want to lie to God. But honestly, when you're lying to yourself, it's not going to get you anywhere. You have to be honest with yourself. You have to be your authentic self. And if honesty is, I need to not get out of bed today and just eat sweets, then that's your truthful, honest opinion, or that's your truth for the day. As long as it doesn't become your everyday, as long as you don't allow yourself to waste away and wallow and waste the life that you've given. And you can, it's your life to do with as you please, obviously, but I think that's the message, is what I'm trying to say, is just to be authentic, to get up and enjoy whatever moments you can. Obviously, do what you can when you can do it. Allow yourself to rest when you can't. Allow yourself to be at peace when that's important. That was the lesson yesterday. Put your mind at peace, Jeri. Your body is getting a chance to rest from time to time. You're not letting your mind do it. And the fact that I'm waking up in the middle of the night, not able to fall back to sleep because my mind's not at rest, is a perfect example that my mind's not at rest. So today was kind of a long vlog, and it was kind of everywhere, but it was a lot of different lessons, and there was positives and negatives and cancer and life and living with limitations and living with, I never said disabilities. I don't like the word disabilities, I'll tell you the truth. To me, it has a very negative connotation. To me, disabilities actually has like a little bit more of a negative connotation than the word retarded, which we don't like. We shredded the R word. But, because in all fairness, retarded is not just used in the mental capacity or in a person's diagnosis. It's also like a flame retardant. There's really a word, and it means slow to grow. That's what that means. The word retarded means. So we say a flame retardant means it's not going to be fireproof. It's just going to slow the growth of the fire. But disability is so negative. It's just like, the word dis is like, you can't, it's just, you can't. You don't have the abilities. You don't have the abilities. And honestly, I really never met anybody who didn't have the ability to do something. And I joke a lot about like, I can do everything but save money and lose weight. And obviously I can do both. Those are just jokes. But to me, disability has a very negative, I mean, the word itself is a negative form of the word, an anti-word or so, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I think I need more coffee and maybe some different breakfast. Maybe I need more protein in my breakfast. I didn't even see, was I wake up this morning? I was wake up this morning. But I am grateful that though I'm living with limitations, I know what they are right now, and that's what's important to me, so that they're going to help me move forward from today on. So listen, if nobody told you today, you are loved. Don't forget, okay? Because I love you. God loves you, whichever God you believe in, okay? All right. And as always, you guys take care. God bless, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Bye, Vlogsters.